Okay, ladies and gents, boys and girls, what is going on? Tuesday, August the 30th, 2022. Apologies if I'm running a little bit late here on this Tuesday. We had a dentist appointment this morning. If you really do want to know how to go get the teeth cleaned before game day on Saturday, appreciate you all tuning in. What is going on? As you see, yes, a new setup. Figured why not, man? I got a lot of cool stuff in the studio. Why not get it all behind me? Also, we got a new camera working today. So we're still continuing to play along with the setup, or play around with the setup, I should say, play around with the camera. I'm even playing around with it right now in regards to the overall brightness of the picture you are seeing, all that good stuff. Guys, again, thank y'all so much for tuning in. What is going on? I need to plug in the charger at some point. Stephanie Lee, Jeff Gullidge, Joseph Walker Jr., Lee Harold, Cody Gaskins, Leonard, Chris Miller, Travie, John Edward, Todd Smith, Noah Johns. What's going on? C. Youngblood. Hey, shout out my guy, by the way, Dr. Ronald Wilson, Greenville Smiles up here in Greenville, that hooked me up this morning. Got the teeth looking right. Got the teeth looking right here on a Tuesday and for this football season as well. Again, guys, appreciate you all tuning in. Very excited to chat with you all here. What do you guys think? I know I just have the random ring light, by the way, in the background. I should have moved that. I've been running around. Normally, I would have moved that. Normally, I would have gotten out of the way. There he is, Dr. Wilson. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. Thank you. And it's funny. I was sitting there in there. I was like, all right, I know Dr. Wilson knows I've got this show at 12. I know he knows. So if he wants to tune in, we'll get it in, get it out, all that good stuff. Either way, guys, again, appreciate you all tuning in. We got a busy show, taking your questions, comments, calls. 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. Also, guys, I'm very excited because this week, of course, with it being game week, right, we're going to have our weekly guests every single day, Monday through Friday. And, of course, what that means is today's show, for the first time this season, he finally makes his return. We have my good friend Alex Mcgrath joining the show. Alex Mcgrath joining the show. Very excited to chat with Alex once again. And again, guys, that's how there's things that happen, right? There's certain content. There's certain, when the seasons change, and there's just certain things that happen when the environment changes where you're like, yep, that's a sign that football is back. That's a sign that football has returned. Alex Mcgrath jumping on the airwaves, that is undoubtedly a major sign that, hey, football's here. Football is here. And, of course, normally I've had Alex on the show, right? I've had him on the podcast when we were doing the podcast Monday through Friday. Of course, now just doing the podcast 3 times, I said to myself, I still want to get him on the show in some capacity, but I want to use our Wednesday podcast, right? I want to use those Wednesday podcasts to have unique guest interviews, people we don't normally have on, right? So that's what I'm doing. Figured, okay, well, let's get Alex Mcgrath still. It normally dropped on Tuesdays, right? Those Tuesday combos with Alex Mcgrath. Normally, we would drop that on Tuesday. So now, every Tuesday on TDC, Alex Mcgrath will join us 12:15 to 12:45. Very excited. By the way, if you do not see this behind me, back when old TSUS was at Cotton Gin. Shout out to the boys over at Cotton Gin. Love that. I'll probably play around with the TV set up in the background. It's kind of what logo looks good, what logo looks the best behind me, if you will. Thank you, though, for the comments. Hey, I've been trying really hard on the setup. I really have. I feel like this is a dope setup. I like this camera. We shouldn't have a lot of refocusing issues or any of the madness, the stuff we've been dealing with. And I really kind of hated the blank background. I was like, dude, I've got such a dope studio, so much cool stuff behind me. Why not set it up where you can see some of that stuff behind me? If you have any questions of what it is, I'll tell you. There's some cool memorabilia in here. Joseph Walker Jr. Chris, how do you feel about Desmond Umeazula? I feel really good. About Desmond. Yeah, man, that's a huge pickup. It's a huge pickup. And, it happened yesterday. Obviously, we talked yesterday, but Shane Beamer just continuing to recruit the line of scrimmage at an elite level, which is what you have to do. I mean, what excites me, guys, so much is this. And as we jump to the phone lines, I'll get to that in just a second. Hunter, what's up, man? How are you?
Hey, what's going on, man? So I I have a question. I don't know if it's just me or not, but have you ever, I guess, like gotten so excited about the football game, like you start dreaming about it? I know it's a little weird off topic. So I just like had a dream. I had a dream about Carolina actually beating Clemson. I know it's just a dream, but it was like 83-10. I remember the score, and yeah, I just got so damn excited because Saturday's so close, and yeah, I guess I just have a dream about it. So I don't know if you ever get excited about that stuff.
83-10, my friend. What a score that
Yeah,
would be.
I know that's way out there, but I remember the score.
No, I don't think you're crazy. I actually had a dream. I don't know how long it was. Let's say a month ago. I had a dream that Rattler hit Wells on the first drive of the season for like a long touchdown, like a 60-yard bomb. And I woke up and was like, I hope to pray to God that's actually what happened. So, no, I mean, listen, I've certainly, man. I mean, it's one of those things, right? They say when you start, for me, it's funny because they say when you start dreaming about work, that's how you know you're working too much. But I mean, I've certainly dreamed I've certainly dreamed about it before. Yes, I mean, no, we're all excited, man. We're all excited for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I woke up at like 6 this morning. I was like, damn, man, I Saturday just can't get any faster because it's game week and you just can't wait to go ahead and watch the game.
Right. No, dude, for sure. I mean, hey, I don't blame you either. I don't blame you. So it's going to be a lot of fun, man. It's going to be incredible. I mean, Saturday as a whole, the tailgate, everything involved, and of course the game. And I'm so excited, man, to just see all the great Gamecocks and interact with people Saturday at the tailgate, like I mentioned, and before the game. And then, of course, like I said, just take it all in, man. College football's finally back. So, heck, I'm excited to watch college football games Thursday night. So I'm pumped.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'll be watching while waiting the Carolina game. I'll be watching Texas A&M since that one I know for sure. It's like at 3:00. I think is what it is, 3:30.
Right. Yeah, and I'll definitely. I think the game I'm most intrigued to see beside ours on Saturday is definitely Arkansas-Cincinnati, just because we play them week 2, and I think that'll actually be a really, really good game. Really good game. So.
Yeah, I just wanted to get that out of my system. I didn't know if you ever had dreams about that. I know it's kind of weird off topic kind of thing, but I'm off work this week, so I say, screw it. I might as well call you and just get that out of my system.
Yeah, for sure, man. I love it. Yeah, man, excited for Saturday, bro. It's going to be a good time.
Not a problem. I guess I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, Hunter, I appreciate it, man. Calling anytime. Great stuff there from Hunter, for sure. Let's see. Brian Mobley. Yeah, the only thing is UF Utah, man, it's during when we play. That's the only problem, right? That's the only problem. So, there's some good games. There's some good games Saturday night. Ohio State, Notre Dame, of course. But Tommy Wallace says, will the first series of plays be scripted? And if so, will we run the ball or throw the ball more? That's a really good question, Tommy Wallace. Normally the plays are scripted in the first series of a game. You ask any coach or just listen to any coach. Most of the time, yes, they are scripted. Most of the time they're scripted. But I don't know. I don't know. I think it'll depend on matchup and what they see. Do they feel like they see a matchup they can expose? It's really tough to say what they'll. But I think we're going to come out throwing. I really do. Ronnie Pace got the flag. Ronnie, finally, you got the flag. Thank goodness. After months and months and months. Dude, love it. Love it. Garrett H., do you go over your SEC/run your pool picks on the podcast on Wednesday? Yes, Garrett, that's what we'll do. Yes. Every Wednesday show, we'll do that again. We'll do SEC gambling picks. We will do best bet as well. And I'll also just talk about whatever Shane Beamer said in his Tuesday presser and all that good stuff. So, yeah, we'll do all that. So that will be tomorrow's podcast. We'll also have a great conversation. Great interview, by the way, guys. I'll go ahead and tell you who it is. Corey Peoples. I don't know if you guys recall that name. Played defensive back at South Carolina, but from 2002 to 2004. More importantly, though, why that name matters to you all. Corey Peoples is on Georgia State's staff right now. Yes, Corey Peoples is the secondary coach for Georgia State under Sean Elliott. So I talked to him last night, had him on the show. Really great conversation. Really cool to just kind of cross over enemy lines, if you will, though, and get the Georgia State perspective on the football game and just their overall thoughts. And just really, really cool. And I appreciate in a time where coaches are obviously really secretive and they don't want to share anything hardly. I appreciate Corey Peoples, man. I appreciate him being so open and honest and being willing to come on the show and just talk about the game. Have lighthearted conversation. We didn't spoil any secrets or anything from the Georgia State side. I didn't get like a scouting report on Georgia State necessarily, but I really appreciate him taking the time. Really good stuff and great conversation that will drop tomorrow for sure. Guys, also big talking point today. Shane Beamer will speak to the media at 1:30, but the depth chart dropped. The depth chart dropped last night. Did anything stand out to you guys in regards to the depth chart? Nothing really crazy to me. Everybody's favorite punt returner, Josh Vann, is back there listed as the starting punt returner yet again. Outside of that, I really didn't, nothing really crazy. I mean, let me put it this way. A lot of oars on that depth chart, right? A lot of oars on that depth chart. A lot of different guys that are going to play, a lot of positions where they have not really figured out who they want to start, which is to be expected. It's to be expected for sure. It's to be expected. But, a lot of oars on that depth chart. So did anything jump out to you guys? Was there anything in particular that jumped out to you guys? Anything you saw that was a surprise or what have you? Let's see. Anyways, guys, taking your questions, comments, calls, 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. Alex Mcgrath, we're working right now to get him on the show. Let me go ahead and plug this in. Here we go. Guys, again, thank y'all so much. We are 4 days. Real quick before Alex joins us, let's jump to the phone. Joseph, what's up, man? How are you?
Doing good, Chris. How are you, man?
I'm doing well, man. Appreciate you asking. What's up?
I was wondering because once I got home last night from work, I was doing some looking. Seeing as how where our depth chart's at right now, and who's all going to be starting and the backup. Is there any real changes you would do to it? Because as far as I can see, I don't have a problem with it. But I wanted to see what your input on if you would switch players, just see who in your mind should start. Obviously, Spencer Rattler, he'll start, but like if you have any other players who should start in your opinion.
Well, what's so interesting, Joe, is about the conversation is that I can have my opinions on, the surprises and who I'd like to see get more playing time or who I'd like to see get more of a look. It's interesting, though, when you say, like, well, this guy should definitely be starting over this guy. Basically, what you're saying is more about the football team than the coaching staff. And if we ever get to a point where our fans know more about our team than our coaches, we need new coaches. That's a problem, right? So I'm hesitant to say – I will say this. Was there anything that jumped out, any surprises? To see Antoine Wells listed as an or with Xavier Legette at wide receiver. That was interesting to me. Corey Rucker is indeed listed on the depth chart after dealing with injuries early in the season. I don't think he plays Saturday. Maybe he does, though. Who knows? I don't think for what it's worth that he'll play. I'm sure we'll find out a lot more about that today from Shane Beamer. Thought that was interesting. Jalen Brooks going to be in the rotation. He was listed as an or behind Josh Vann. And from what I had heard from people in the building, the receiver room was probably the most up in the air room in regards to depth and finding quality guys. Not finding quality guys, but just the number of guys that can play in regards to winning starting positions. Beyond that, I mean, it's kind of wide open at running back still. I think Lloyd is listed as sort of your guy there. So I feel good about that three-headed monster with Lloyd, McDowell, and Beal Smith. And defensively, seeing Strawn at the linebacker spot, which is basically just like another edge spot. I think he will most certainly serve well there and be a big-time impact guy. Cam Smith at the nickel. That was talked about a lot of the preseason, now confirmed with him being at the nickel. So you'll have Dial and Rush at the corners. Roderick Reed, your starting safeties. So nothing really crazy, honestly, man. Nothing really crazy that jumped out. I'm excited to see Nick Emmanwori at the safety position. I'm excited to see if Stone Blanton can crack a starting lineup at some point or get playing time. But honestly, like nothing that alarmed me per se. Nothing that really alarmed me or or in a crazy way jumped out, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Also, another question. Is there any players that you can see being breakouts this year, that you can see with like let's say a 90% confident rate that you say they'll break out? Is there any players on our team, whether they're starters, backup? Is there anyone like that you can see right now?
Oh, I mean, the guys that I'm confident that are going to have a big year. Jaheim Bell, definitely. I think Jaheim Bell's prime for a big year. I think Josh Van's going to have a big year yet again. I think Stogg is sort of a forgotten guy that I think will have a big year for us. If Lloyd's healthy, I think he could burst out. I think Spencer Rattler is going to have a very solid year. Not saying he's going to win the Heisman, but I think he's going to have a good year. Defensively, listen, I was hard on the kid over the weekend. I'd like to think Jordan Burch is going to have a solid season. I'm not even going to sit here and say he's going to have some great year, but I think he'll have his best year yet in the Garnet and Black.
Yeah.
I like Boogie Huntley up front. I like, Nick Barrett and Sanders up front as well. They've been really high on those guys at tackle. The whole tackle position has depth. I feel like you're asking me to pick one or two, and I'm just sitting here naming the whole roster. I'll go offensive breakout player will be Jaheim Bell because I don't even think, he was solid last year, but it's not like he was great. I think Jaheim Bell really bursts on the scene and makes a name for himself this year. Defensively, I will say Jordan Strawn has that breakout year on the edge up front. I think he's going to be our lead sack guy. So I think he'll be the breakout guy on defense.
Well, I agree with you, man. I mean, I'm only damn 20 years old, but like, I try my best to look at statistics or look at the highlights from, our new recruits and everything from the high school. And there's just so much promise that it seems like it's too good to be true. But then it's like, like last year, there were so many people who, from high school, it looked like, that's too good to be true. That once they come to Carolina, they're just gonna not perform as well. But then they come and they dominate to the best we can do at the time, and it just gets me excited, man. Because I'm a diehard Carolina fan ever since I was born. It's like my family's religion. Rather you're a Carolina fan or you're not part of the family. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
And I just want to get your input on everything, man.
Yeah, man. No, I appreciate you asking. And listen, I feel good about this football team. I mean, there's question marks to be answered for sure, but a lot of potential with this group. So I'm just excited for us to start to finally get some answers.
Yeah, man. All right, man. I appreciate it.
So, all right, brother. Hey, thanks so much for calling in, man. We'll talk soon.
No problem, man.
All right.
Spurs up.
Take care. Spurs up, indeed. All right, so we got him on the air. Let's go. We're getting our friend, like I told you, normally on the podcast last couple of seasons, every Tuesday podcast that dropped. He was on the airwaves. Now with the podcast being Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I figured we can't go without him this football season. So we're going to do this on the Daily Crow around 12:15 to 12:45-ish, depending on schedules, depending on whatever's going on that day. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him in. Alex, what's up, man? Now.
What's up, baby?
Now it is officially football season because
Now
Alex Mcgrath is here. What's up, man? Dude, it's funny how people, I was talking at the beginning of the show, and that's how people feel, though, man. It's incredible. I joked with you, I think, at the beginning of last season when I said, Alex, I love you, but, if you sucked and people hated you, I wouldn't bring you on here. So the people just keep asking for more, man. They're like, dude, kickoff is near when we see that Alex Mcgrath is joining the airwaves, and football season, it's practically here when you jump on.
It's upon us.
It is. I appreciate you again, man, doing this. Looking forward to a fantastic season. And, it always flies by. So I'll say that, let's soak it all in. Let's enjoy it. We got 4 days till kickoff. But sincerely, man, thank you so much for taking the time and looking forward to yet another fantastic season with you.
Oh, of course, dude. It's a new era. We've got things to be excited about. And my expectations are way too high for this season. So I'm sure they will be crushed and thwarted in an epic fashion. But, we'll see what happens.
It's so interesting, man, because you and I have come so far. And that's what's so cool is because we've been doing this for so long. So you've seen my personal journey. I've also seen your personal journey, but our journey together in regards to Carolina football, because for those who don't realize, we started doing this in 2019. And the way that the conversation has evolved from then to 2020 to now, it's been a long time since I heard you say, I think, that you had high expectations and we're excited for a season. I mean, my oh
Stoked,
my,
man.
how the energy has shifted from the days of, well, I guess we're going to play another season this year. Oh well, we got it. I guess we have to. We don't really have a choice.
Let's just go ahead and get this thing over with. But no, it's definitely it's a happier spot to be in. I'll put it that way. And I think I told you like early on, I had to have been in the doldrums of 2019, I would suppose, where it was just, that feeling to wake up on a Saturday and be excited about what was going to happen instead of being like, I don't know, we'll just see what happens. That mental part of it it's just nice to have that back.
Yeah. Well, I would just, to your point, Alex, I feel like your energy starting this, it really speaks to what I've been saying, Alex, all preseason long. And that's that, last year was exciting and we had a lot of hope and optimism for a lot of off-field reasons, right? You had a new head coach. Things were just different. Heck, we were just happy that Will Muschamp wasn't on the sidelines anymore. And that
Mostly
was it.
That, yes.
Right. And game day was just fun again. What makes this so cool, Alex, and just what makes me so excited, I know you so excited, is when you talk about the energy and the hype around South Carolina football, there are real on-field reasons to be hyped now. Again, last year was just, hey, get to a bowl game. It's the land of misfit toys with your roster a little bit, not trying to throw any shade, but the roster wasn't where it needed to be. If you can just squeeze blood out of a rock and get yourself to 6 wins in a bowl, congratulations, right? This year, it's like, man, like people are realistically looking like, I've picked 8-4. I've picked it. I've picked a win over Clemson, God forbid. Something I just didn't think I'd ever really do until Carolina finally just turned it around themselves on the field. So, there's real on-field reasons to be optimistic, and that is just, no matter how this season goes. I mean, listen, hope springs eternal in the offseason, the preseason. Everybody's 0-0 right now, right? Well, I guess unless you're Hawaii or Nebraska, you're not.
Those are tough, but that's okay.
Right. Tough way to start the year, but it's just to have that energy and excitement because of the product that Shane Beamer has put together on the field. It's a really good feeling going into just year 2 of his tenure.
I know. Well, I mean, you look even beyond that, like the recruiting angle has exploded here recently, and it just seems like everything's moving in the right direction, and that's exciting.
Yeah.
In addition to the fact, the transfer portal was quite good to us in the offseason, I think you could say. And it like the excitement of getting to see those pieces, like where do those pieces fit in this broader puzzle? Because Marcus Satterfield didn't take any lack of criticism last year, I think we could fairly say. But now that you've given it another year and, to your point, not trying to throw shade on anybody, but we're not starting a graduate assistant at quarterback. Now all of a sudden we have the number 1 quarterback recruit from 3 years ago pulling the trigger with with the tight end that came with him from Oklahoma. And we got Josh Vann back, and we got the James Madison transfer, and you got Jaheim Bell standing back there. And there's a lot of weapons on this offense that were lacking a year ago. Obviously, line struggled a good bit last year. Whether that is scheme, talent, we're definitely going to find that out here in short order. But the way they played at the end of the year last year, I think gave everybody a lot of optimism, especially coming out and playing the way they did in the bowl game. What does that look like now going into 2022? And and again, I realize this is ludicrous to even say this out loud, but if you kind of look across the spectrum of what we have on the offensive side of the ball, I don't see a lot of deficiencies against the other top competition in the conference. And that may be taking it a stretch too far, but that's just, I think that's realistic. I mean, outside of Bryce Young, who's a better quarterback than Spencer Rattler in the SEC?
Yeah, on that note, Alex, somebody actually asked us in the chat earlier this morning about, Chris, do you think we have the quarterback advantage in every game we play this season? So it sounds like you would fall in the camp of, yes, South Carolina, you look at it realistically, you could say they have the better quarterback in every game they play this season.
I would say that for sure.
And I think it's fair. I think it's fair, especially if Rattler, he doesn't even have to live up to like the Heisman hype. If he just lives up to like what his recruiting profile said he was, and he lives up to anything like the 2020 version of him was, I think that's a pretty fair argument.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is just leaps and bounds better than anything we've had in quite some time. And I'm just excited.
Yeah. No, for sure. And again, Alex, so much has happened since you and I last talked. And I definitely wanted to touch on the recruiting side of things because we got a lot to talk about in regards to, this team and this game upcoming this Saturday. But, man, what are your thoughts on recruiting? Because I'll tell you, when Shane was hired, I wasn't even really that worried about recruiting because I felt like, hey, this is a guy that's familiar with South Carolina, right? He obviously loves South Carolina. He wants to be here, everything we heard when he was hired. But he knows this program. He understands the ins and outs of it. He helped recruit some of the best players in school history. And, for what it's worth, we've always been able to recruit at a good enough level, right? I mean, a top 25 caliber level. So I expected Shane Beamer and he was known for his recruiting prowess as well in his previous stops, Oklahoma, Georgia, et cetera. So I felt like Shane Beamer it wasn't going to be like South Carolina was going to take some drastic fall in recruiting. But I got to admit, I'm a little surprised that you look now, the Gamecocks are top 15 in recruiting right now and are seriously, you could argue, in the lead for the top player in the country, a 5-star kid who's like a freakish Jadeveon Clowney type athlete. And this is just after winning 7 games and a Mayo Bowl. Like, it's not like they overachieved and won 10 games last year. Your thoughts on, again, what Shane Beamer is doing in recruiting, and also this, Alex, the way he's attacking recruiting in the sense of, I think, going after these immense positions of need, specifically on the line of scrimmage, both offensively and defensively.
Well, I mean, that's kind of been his – I don't want to say his back – like, obviously – like when Shane was being hired in this, the major criticism levied against him was he didn't have coordinator experience and never been a head coach, yada, yada, yada. What he was heavily involved in every single stop that he was on was being a recruiting coordinator. So he knows exactly how to put these pieces together at all the different stops that he's been at, from Virginia Tech to Georgia to Oklahoma, like these big boys that play in that space, and how do they go about landing these top guys year after year after year and refilling that pipeline. And that's what you're seeing play out. And it also, I think it also just speaks to the environment that he's created where, that hasn't existed around here in quite some time. And it's just, that very player friendly, I can be a goofball, but I'm going to put together a winner.
Speaking of that, Alex, again, we haven't chatted in a while. SEC Media Days came and went. Your thoughts on the Soulja Boy video from Shane Beamer that went viral on Twitter?
I thought it was funny. I mean, it feels somewhat hypocritical to say that because I feel like we're kind of venturing into Dabo land on some of these things, but I thought it was funny.
And then thoughts on Mark Stoops throwing shade about it though. That was. Boy, that took on a life of its own. And I tell you what, that game in Lexington now, all of a sudden, I mean, Gamecock, man, we already wanted to kick their ass, but now I feel like it's just to a whole different level, my man.
That was a bold take by the lesser Stoops, I think we can put it.
Lesser Stoops. Oh my God. He's the lesser of the Stoops. God. Jeez, that's a great way to phrase it.
There's Bob, and then there's everybody else.
Jeez. Beautiful. I love that. Take that, Mark. Take that.
Well, yeah. Hopefully he's watching.
Yeah, hopefully he is. Alex, you look at this football team again. We've had a lot of conversation, a lot of banter. I've locked in my predictions, but I have not heard from you in quite some time. Scrimmages have come and gone. We're now in the game week. Let's talk offense first. I know we mentioned this a little bit, I think, in the spring. But, you have Spencer Rattler. Gamecocks, by the way, by the media, we were just talking SEC Media Days, picked to finish 5th in the SEC East. Do with that what you will. Anyways, though, you have Spencer Rattler splash out of the offseason. You talk about guys like Stogner, Wells, Van. You got Christian Beal-Smith, who you added at running back. Marshawn Lloyd returns. Juju McDowell. You got an offensive line. We talked about it week in, week out last year. Abysmal. They were terrible, right? But 129 career starts return. Your entire two deep is back. Alex, you have 7 guys who have started 6 or more games in a season. So you got a lot of experience, and what Marcus Satterfield and this offensive crew, and of course, Marcus Satterfield is one of the biggest stories of the offense as well, because can he take the pieces he has, put them together, and put out a competent product much better than what you saw a season ago when you finished 116th in the country nationally in offense?
It's tough.
Your expectations of the offense this season, because I've heard a lot of different things from a lot of different people. 30 points per game feels like the sweet spot to me. And I know that's a huge jump from last year, but this roster's made a huge jump from last year, right? You're not starting a graduate assistant at quarterback. It's crazy, Alex, how last year this time we were going into the season, man, personnel, we just ain't got it. We're going to have to run the ball 90% of the time because we don't have a capable wide receiver. And now, Alex, I find myself saying, man, Marcus Satterfield's biggest job is finding a way to divvy up touches to all these plethora of playmakers that he has. Like, what a different storyline and what a difference a year makes. But your overall expectations, because, again, you don't want to get carried away because there's a lot of reasons why this offense will be better outside of the simple fact that they just can't really be worse than they were last year.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
right.
There's a lot of reasons to be optimistic, but your expectations, what you want to see from the offense this season as a whole.
I mean, like right off the bat, it's just not being the downfall in football games. Like where you had a defense last year that was playing way out over your skis, that was putting your offense in unbelievable positions. Kentucky specifically, where they turn the ball over 4 times and we do absolutely nothing with it. Yeah. I don't think that's something that's going to happen this year. I think 30 points a game is very, very doable, and really probably should be a touch higher than that. And if we can do, truthfully, if we can average that kind of number on offense and we get 70% of the defensive production back that we got last year, it's going to be a big year. Because, honestly, offensive line obviously did not do what they needed to do last year. I think, what you're saying, where you're returning every single starter, 129 career starts between them, that light's going to click on. And if it does, there is really no ceiling to this, because you brought almost everybody back across the board.
I think the Gamecocks either lead or are tied for the most returning production on the offensive side of the football in the SEC.
Yeah, and you added Spencer Rattler to that.
Who, when he's playing well, is one of, if not the best quarterback in college football.
Yeah. And so it really, sky's the limit on this thing, in my humble estimation. So I think 30 points a game would be, to your point, right on the number. I think you probably do better than that.
Now, Alex, you mentioned the defensive side. I think anytime you lose a guy like Jalen Foster, who, accounted for a lot of turnovers last year, a lot of big plays, you have to fill his void. Devontae Reed steps in from Central Michigan. It was announced when the depth chart came out last night. He will be the starting safety in that role. Defensive line, still a bit of a question mark. You struggled to stop the run last year. Linebackers are all back. I could argue, though, again, like you mentioned, a defense that played out above its or beyond its skis last year, a defense that I think is more talented this year. My biggest concern, Alex, is just, are you going to be able to generate the amount of turnovers you got last year? And if you don't, are you still going to be a quality defense? With that being said, though, I'm almost kind of splitting hairs and nitpicking, because I do think this is a group. You've got talent up front. Linebackers should be better. Cam Smith's a preseason All-American. And again, it's a secondary that was top 10 in the country against the pass. Even if they take a slight step back and you're a little bit against the run, I think this should be a defense yet again under Clayton White that should be, again, it's not going to be elite. It's not going to be like Georgia last year, obviously, but it's going to be a defense that's not going to lose you football games.
Correct. Yeah, no, I like that. And that's the thing. even if they play 70% to what they did last year, you are so far improved on the other side of the ball at this point, we think, that is very much good enough to get you over that hump. Where you're right, they're not going to lose you a game, and even if they put you in a tough spot, now all of a sudden you've got this explosive component over here that can make up the difference, and that's what we didn't have a year ago. And we still won 7 games. And so you like factor that back in now. Limits the sky, man.
Yeah, the ceiling is the roof, as the great MJ once said.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you this, just kind of a switching gears a little bit. When it comes to offense, defense, I hear this a lot in regards to last year, but just in football in general, right? There's like these footballisms that people say, but they don't. It's almost like you say it with, even if it doesn't apply, or you don't really even know what it means, it just sounds good, right? Like, kids got arm talent, like, what does that even mean, right? So when people say, like, looking at last year, when you talk about the defense did this, here's the statistics, here's the numbers. Well, the offense didn't help them out because they weren't on the field. And listen, I know it's a team game, right? It's a team game. Offense feeds off defense and vice versa. But there's going to be games where, hey, you're not going to have it offensively. Defense had to pick you up and vice versa. How much do you put into that? Like, did you watch South Carolina last year? Because, again, they were up against it a lot defensively, right? Because the offense was so porous. Like, do you feel like it's one of those things whereas as each side of the ball gets better, the other side also gets better, like it greatly benefits? Because, I mean, on one hand, I feel like that makes sense, right? Because it's a team game and you feed off each other. On the other hand, I've seen plenty of college football teams that score 50 a game and their defense is abysmal and they give up 40 a game, right? So, I mean, what do you make of that? Again, you're someone who's been on a football team, been in a locker room. Does it go hand in hand? I mean, obviously, I would think, again, you played on the offensive side. You're worried about what you can control. I mean, you can't control whether your defense gives up 50. Your job is to go score 51, right? I mean, so what's your take on that when people say, well, the offense will be improved, so the defense is going to be massively improved? Does that make sense? Does my question make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, no, it doesn't have to work like that. What I think you saw last year was like everybody, I think what you saw more than anything else, which is, again, insanely positive, is they knew they were, like, when you're talking about the land of misfit toys, right? So you're kind of, like, in that room and in that group, like, we have deficiencies. We know that. And I think it was about stepping up in that moment as a team to cover for those deficiencies. So, like, defense knew they had to play lights out. And, like, they would be there to pick them up if something went wrong. And I think that's just a team mentality that's sitting there. So as the offense improves, it takes that pressure off of that defensive unit to where they can play a little bit more fast and loose, where you get into those spaces where you can create turnovers, where you can take that chance to go get that ball because you've got that backup on the other side. So I think in that sense, it would increase the productivity of both of those units. And two, it's just like what you're playing against in practice every day too. And so if that offense is sharper and crisper and you're getting better looks from them in practice during the week, that's ultimately going to make your defense better too. So yeah, I think it does work like that.
Now, Alex, let's move into this game this weekend against Georgia State. As much as we all love talking about preseason stuff, and I was joking with Garcia about this. But by the way, that's got to give you a good laugh too, right? Like seeing Steven on the show every Monday. Dude, the clips. I know you've seen the
They're
clips.
incredible.
And again, you were on the team with him. So I feel like his former teammates have just got to be sitting there like, people are just finding out and seeing what we've known forever. This dude's a maniac, a lovable maniac.
Like spoiler alert, everybody in that locker room is a lovable maniac.
Yeah,
like
right. He wasn't the only one. Far from it.
He was not. He was just infinitely more recognizable than the rest of them.
Right. But the point I was making was just that, we've spent all preseason breaking it down and dissecting it and previewing it. Now we finally get to talk about some ball on the field. So this weekend against Georgia State, again, we sat here a year ago, damn near to the date, Alex, and talked about the season opener for the Gamecocks, year one of Shane Beamer. And, I think it was a perfect season opener for game one of his era, right? It was almost like a spring game 2.0. Like EIU didn't belong on the field with us, but that's what we needed. We needed to go out, feel good, beat someone like a drum, and just get the Beamer era off to a positive start. I don't think I would have wanted to play Georgia State game one last year, Alex. I don't know that. I don't think I would have wanted to open with them.
No.
Either way, though, you got Georgia State this weekend. Gamecocks are a 12-point favorite. So I don't think this is one of those, again, you don't look at this like EIU. So many intriguing storylines in this one. Sean Elliott, of course, we all know who Sean Elliott is. He actually graced the airwaves, and I appreciate him doing that. Former Gamecocks offensive line coach. He's now the head coach there. Corey Peoples, who I actually talked to last night, who played DB at Carolina 02 to 04. He is the defensive backs coach there, secondary coach. He will be, of course, on the sidelines there. You got Jamias Williams. I know you remember that name, who was once a defensive back, is now a running back for Georgia State and almost ran for 1,000 yards last year. Jordan Strawn on our side on defense, once played for Georgia State. He goes up against them. So many intriguing storylines going to this one. What's just your early thoughts, your early view of this ball game when you first, let's just say, saw the schedule come out or when you looked at it? Because I feel like you probably are like me. You look at this game with a much different scope than you looked at the season opener, say, a year ago.
For sure. I mean, because Georgia State's program started
13 years ago. 13
years ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's still in that building phase. I mean, Sean Elliott's done an unbelievable job with it to get it to where he's gotten it this quickly. So I'm looking at it comparatively to Eastern Illinois, like those two aren't even in the same ballpark for opening game, so to speak. So, I mean, certainly this team's going to have a lot more of a pulse to it than Eastern Illinois did, which is slightly terrifying. But like at the same time, like we are just in a much different position today than we were a year ago. So I think we win the game comfortably. But it's good. They're going to score some points.
So
because they have talented players.
Yeah. So you've got the Gamecocks on the -12. You think South Carolina does cover the number?
It feels like a 35-14.
Okay.
To me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm seeing, Alex. It's funny. I'm seeing a lot of lopsided predictions from people. I'm talking like 49-7, like 45-10 type deals. I would just say this because I want you to share your perspective, because I talked to Garcia about this as well yesterday, and you guys were on this same team. You were a part of it, and we've been all watching it long enough. Season openers don't always go to plan, right? Sometimes they're a little wacky. Again, it's first game jitters for everybody. Shane Beamer's complained about this, that college football, you don't have a preseason, you don't have scrimmages against other teams, so you just don't really know what you're going to get. So we've seen the Gamecocks come out, right, and be a little bit sluggish. I'll never forget 2007, the season opener. You guys opened up with Louisiana Lafayette. They ran for like 280 yards, just ran all over us. And I'll never forget the following week, Carolina goes to Athens. And the boys on game day were talking about that game, saying, hey, this is a defense just got ran on for 280 yards by Louisiana Lafayette. There's no way they stopped that Georgia attack with no Sean Moreno and Matthew Stafford and all those 5 stars. They got whatever, and you guys beat Georgia in Athens. So it's a very it's a very tricky thing trying to draw conclusions from season openers, and because you just never know. But I know you and I would both agree this is a very important game, not just winning, but how you win, because this one's going to set the tone for the Arkansas and the Georgia games that will follow, which again will obviously be much tougher tasks.
Infinitely so. It's really just about respecting your opponent, I would say, more than anything else. Like knowing that these are not pushovers. These are kids that are also on full scholarship at a Division I university. So this is not a walkover, and you've got to be able to convey that as a coaching staff and just have those guys ready when they put their hand on the ground that this is live, we're going, this is their Super Bowl, they're going to try to beat you. And as long as you can convey that message and keep their energy in that, because ultimately, like when you're talking about Louisiana Lafayette versus going to Georgia, like your energy as a player is very different in that environment versus playing Louisiana Lafayette, who you know going into that kind of game that you are more talented than they are, and you know that like in the back of your head you'd never like say this in a meeting or like pregame or anything like that. You know you're going to win that game unless something just goes horribly wrong. And so like that mental edge, I think, is what causes those laps when you have those opening opponents. If they can somehow weed that out, that's what, I mean, that's what Saban talks about all the time. Like, you got to play that same way every single week, and he's done a great job in getting his guys to do that for, has it like 15 years now?
Yeah, I mean that's what to me is so impressive about what Alabama's built is they win these titles year after year, and they come back just as hungry the following, if not hungrier. It's
unbelievable.
How does satisfaction not creep in? But again, it's why Nick Saban is the GOAT, and maybe we've all learned our lesson as college football people. Let's stop hiring guys that are trying to copy him.
There's one.
The same thing
There's one Saban.
There's one.
Yeah.
Despite the outcome or in regards to margin of victory, right, Alex, whether you win by 14 or 17 or 20, I've been telling people, just because it's not like, well, if we win by 14, we're going to win 6 games. If we win by 17, we're going to win 7. It's like, no, you're really grasping at straws. What do you want to see from this football team in the opening game? And I'll tell you, Alex, for me, simply put, line of scrimmage. Because last year, you don't want to draw conclusions from a season opener, but you could argue we saw the offensive line woes very early last year when it felt like, I remember us talking, it's like, I don't feel like we got the push that we expected. And unfortunately, that lingered throughout the entire season. So I'm looking at line of scrimmage. I'm looking for a football team to, listen, you're probably going to have some procedure penalties. It is week 1. It's going to happen, right? You're knocking off the cobwebs per se. It's week 1 for them too. They're probably going to have that as well. But I'd like to see as efficient a football game as possible, a team that is in control from start to finish. I think there will be some uncomfortable moments early, but a team that's in control from start to finish, but most importantly, has the obvious advantage at the line of scrimmage. Because if you can't beat Georgia State up front, well, Arkansas and Georgia, I don't know what to tell you. It's not going to be a very fun afternoon against either one of those opponents. What do you most want to see from the Gamecocks in this ball game, obviously in a victory on Saturday night?
So obviously echo line of scrimmage. I'd love to see like a clean, like no turnovers, no stupid penalties, efficient on the offensive side of the ball where you keep it real balanced to start with. Like that you're able to generate a lead and then work, like, so from the running back position, let's work everybody through there and see how they do in live fire. Do the exact same thing on the receiver end. Like if you can get that 14-point, 3-touchdown lead early and you can start to distribute the ball and get people a lot of live rep exercise, like that's what I'd want to see on, at least on the offensive side of the ball. Defense, if you can hold them to under 350 yards and keep it at 2 touchdowns, I think that's a huge win. If you can get good push from the defensive line, get 3-4 sacks in there, create some turnovers, like that's what I want to see out of this game. I want to see just be super efficient and clean on offense, spread the ball around, get some guys some live rep exercise, and on the defensive side of the ball, hold them underneath that 350 number and create turnovers.
Yeah, because I think, Alex, you would probably agree. I mean, it's interesting how this schedule shakes out, right? Like, this one's going to set the tone for Arkansas. Arkansas is going to set the tone for Georgia. And you could argue Georgia's going to set the tone for the entire rest of the season. It's a very – and I'll tell you this, again, we talked about it over and over and over last year. Run defense and run offense. And we're going to know about both after the first 3 weeks because there's just nowhere to hide. There's nowhere to hide. These are 3 physical football teams you're going to be playing. Because, of course, I mean, again, it's Sean Elliott. They're going to be physical at the point of attack. They ran for 226 yards per game last year, Alex. I don't know if you knew that. They were 8th in the country.
I did not know that.
They were 8th in the country in rushing offense. And they have 2 guys. Again, it's Terrence Gregg and Jamias Williams, who are Doak Walker Award preseason watch list guys. Almost both of them ran for 1,000. So they pride themselves on running the football. Defense was shoddy for them. Gamecocks really should be able to. I mean, if you don't score 30 plus, I think that's a problem. Like, I don't want to set I say I don't want to set unfair expectations, but that's fair. That's very fair. I think scoring in the mid to upper 30s I think is very doable for this group. Alex, I know I've had you on for a while. We're going to get you out of here. I appreciate you being gracious with your time. And I'm very excited to do this every single Tuesday with you. And again, I know our audience is excited as well. But we just talked about Georgia State. I'm going to zoom out a little bit before we get you out of here and just talk this overall season because I have not got your thoughts. Again, I've locked in 8-4, 4-4 in conference. I'm not going to ask you for a game-by-game prediction, what have you. We've seen a lot of 7-5s. I feel like that's just sort of the – people are just kind of blindly throwing the dart like, 7-5, right? I don't want to, the safe pick, right? Because what it says is, this team was better. They're not great. They're not terrible. They're just a solid SEC team, right? But for a lot of fans, they struggle with that because you won 7 last year with a bowl game with the carousel you had at quarterback. And now you add Spencer Rattler. You won't have those issues anymore. The roster has been upgraded exponentially. But as you've seen, obviously, we all know the schedule changes. You trade out a reeling Auburn for an up-and-coming Arkansas, which is just our luck, really. You still got Georgia, Clemson, and A&M on your schedule, right? You got to go to Kentucky. You got to go to Florida and take on Billy Napier and his squad, right? You got Tennessee, who feels like they're just like us. They feel like their program's on the up and up. Realistic expectations for you for this season, because again, I know you keep it level-headed, you keep it a buck. Is there a win total you are looking for, though, that would deem this season a success? How do you view the 2022 campaign and year 2 of Beamer? And I say year 2 because it needs to be stressed. It's just year 2. But, Alex, there's no denying this is not your typical year 2 when you add the type of players you've added, especially with a Spencer Rattler.
So I'm gonna say this live on the internet, which I am 100% sure I am going to regret. That said, I really think we win the SEC East this year.
You're not joking. You're dead ass.
I'm not.
You're dead serious. Okay.
I am.
All right. Hey, listen, I respect all takes and all opinions. Alex Mcgrath just called it. You got the Gamecocks winning the SEC East.
I do.
Wow. Okay. I love that. Honestly, I love that. My, oh my, how the context of convo can change when you go from, again, I'm just thinking back to 2019 and how down in the dumps we were. My friend, I love that. Hold on. You must have broke even on the golf course. Did that happen? Did you break par?
It did. Oh, yeah.
That's what it is. Okay, that's what it is. All right.
I mean,
now it makes sense. If Alex Mcgrath can break 72, damn it, the Gamecocks can win the SEC East. I'm all for it. I get it. Listen, the universe has spoken.
Listen, it's really like I kind of, I talk to my buddies about this all the time, but it's just like I look at it from a positional breakdown. Like offense was our Achilles heel last year. If you look across the Eastern Division. Like at wide receiver, tight end, running back, offensive line continuity, total starts. Like, who is better across that board than we are right now?
I mean, listen.
You could say Georgia's got a better. Georgia certainly probably has a better offensive line, but I would probably say, from a running back standpoint, we're pretty equal with them. I would say we're definitely equal with them from a receiver standpoint. I mean, no shade to Stetson Bennett, but I think if you were going to pick,
right, throw the shade, bro.
You throw Jaheim Bell and Stogner in there at tight end. I'm just saying, from an actual talent standpoint.
To your point, Alex, I will say this. To your point, because I've had this conversation with others. Gamecock fans, we are conditioned to – we almost have to keep expectations realistic because we have been let down so many times. I mean, I'm not trying to trigger anybody. That's just reality, right? But if you were to let's just live in a fantasy world, take the block C off, take the garnet and black off, and you just looked at this football team, you could argue and say exactly what you're saying. If you took the negative stigma around, well, it's Carolina, they'll do this.
Yeah.
At minimum, you'd look at this team and say, 129 career starts up front, Heisman caliber quarterback, all these other guys. defense that overachieved and has more talent this year. I love it, dude.
I'm just saying.
I love the bowl pick. I love it.
That's
we
it.
need
I'm
more
just
of
saying.
that. We need more of that. I love that, dude. I'm very few times surprised doing this. Like, honestly, like normally people are kind of giving, and this is no slight or disrespect any, because my guests are awesome, very unfiltered, great. But a lot of times in interviews, it's sort of, especially, I know what I'm trying to say, especially this preseason where it's like 7-5, 7-5, 6-6, 7-5, 8-4, 7-5. I just like the same picks. I respect the hell out of it. I love it. Hey, let's just go 15-0. To hell with it. I say, why not?
Well, I don't think that's coming. Let me pour some cold water on that.
So I'm assuming you're thinking 10-2 SEC East.
I'm thinking like 9-3, 10-2 range. I just don't think Georgia is nearly as good as they were last year, just because that defense is all playing on Sundays.
Listen, lost a lot. Lost, didn't just lose guys, lost generational talent on the defensive side. Talent.
And so, like, you factor that in, they're going to have to be way more reliant on the offensive side of the ball than they were last year. I don't know that they necessarily have the horses to get through that. I think it's super advantageous that we're playing them at noon at home. It would be better if it was at night, but it's just going to be that's a big advantage for us. I think our key pieces this year are going to be that Kentucky, Tennessee stretch, and Kentucky, Tennessee, Florida, I think are where you'll find the crux of this. But I think I realistically think you could probably win the East at 9-3. So we'll see.
Dude, I love it. Listen, I love it. Why not? It's only crazy until it's not, right? You never know. And I tell you this, because you already know what's coming. That's going to be clipped. You're going to get a bunch of texts from your buddies like, Alex, are you on drugs?
Course.
It's fine. But you know what? You'll look like a damn genius if it happens. So I respect the hell out of it. Hey, and I know, listen, the beautiful thing about that, why I love that so much, is because I know you're not a garnet glasses guy. You're not just saying that to say that. You really, and you know what? Even if it doesn't happen, you know what I love about that, Alex? It just screams to what Beamer's building. The fact that people have that level of excitement and confidence in him and his team, right? That's just, it's such this feels so much better than where we were. I can tell you that.
Yes.
Speaking for all parties, it feels so much better where we are. Alex, on that note, man, I think that's a good place to close it. Again, I'm extremely excited to get you on here each and every single Tuesday. And don't worry. The audience will be sure to hold us all accountable for things we say every week, just in case they don't come true. So it is.
We lay a goose egg on Saturday. We're gonna have to turn the comments off.
Oh my God!
Next week. So if we could figure out a way to do that, that would be awesome.
Hey, live by the sword, die by the sword, my friend. That's what they say. Alex, man, again, I appreciate you taking the time, man. Looking forward to doing it again next.
Absolutely, buddy.
All right, brother. Take care. Wow, great stuff. Alex Mcgrath, you heard it, folks, just went on record and called the Gamecocks winning the SEC East and going back to Atlanta for the first time since 2010. My goodness. And you know what, again, what I love about that, Alex is not a guy who's just going to fling that out there just to try to get clicks or get views. I didn't tell him to say that, obviously. Unreal. I mean, that took me by surprise. I love that. Folks, we're going to jump into a quick break, but I want to continue to hear from you, more of your questions, comments, calls, and more on the other side. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. All right, guys, we're back. Taking your questions, comments, calls, 843-790-3377. That is 843-790-3377. What a day, what a time, what a convo. My guy, DGD, is triggered in the comments. DGD, feels good to be good, baby. Feels good to be good when you got Alex Mcgrath jumping on. He's talking that talk. Here we go.
To accept.
Brian, what's up, man? How are you?
Chris, it's a good thing you went to commercial after that because your phones were probably about to blow up.
Yeah, dude, I saw you calling in the second that we went to a break, and a call just came in as well. So, yeah, the phone line is blowing up for sure, man. What's up? What's going on?
Listen, Alex, I love the enthusiasm. I love the take. But to me, this year the SEC East is going to be the best division in college football. There's no way you're losing 2 or 3 games and still winning that division. I just don't see it happening. Our schedule, I mean, it's a tough schedule. 7-5, 8-4, I see it, but going 9-3, 10-2, and winning division, I don't see that happening just because the East is going to be too strong this year.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't have us winning the SEC East either. I have the Georgia Bulldogs once again winning it and actually going undefeated. But, hey, listen, I'm all about making a bold pick. I'm all about making a bold pick and a bold prediction, and Alex wants to do that. Hey, that's totally fine, man, right? We respect all predictions. We respect all, even if we disagree, right? We respect all predictions. So I respect Alex going out on a limb, if you will, and giving his pick, and, you know, we'll see what happens. But, hey, I love the confidence. I love the confidence and the willingness to make a pick like that. So, but yeah, I'm comfortable.
Right.
Yeah, I'm comfortable sticking with 8-4. Right, I'm comfortable sticking with 8-4. I'm not budging off of 8-4. But you know, listen, I love it. I love it. I don't know, and I just, you know, I want everyone to know. Like, I didn't tell Alex to say that. I didn't expect that. I don't know if you could see it in my face or hear it in my voice. I didn't see that coming. So I love it. I love it, man.
Listen, if we go 10-2 or 11-1 and win the East, just go ahead and build Spencer Rattler and Shane Beamer a statue.
Dude, build Alex Mcgrath a statue. With that being said, I'll put an Alex Mcgrath shrine in the studio. You know, I mean, my goodness. And I'm going to have a Beamer ball ass tat. A lot of things on the line, my guy. A lot of things on the line. So, but yeah, I'm excited, man. Again, I love Alex going on the limb and making the pick. All right, so he hung up. I don't know if he lost service or what. Either way, I saw my guy Phil call in. Phil, please call back in, because I can only imagine what you've got to say, my guy. I can only imagine what you've got to say, Phil. Would love to hear from you. Ben DeRosa says Georgia's losing to Oregon week 1. Bro, DGD is getting flustered in the comments, dog. DGD, you're getting flustered in the comments, my guy. I mean, listen, again, I've got 8-4. I'd be happy with 8-4. I'd sign up for 8-4. But I do love Alex. All right, let's jump to the phone lines. Phil, what's up, my friend? How are you?
Pretty good, my brother. How you doing?
I am doing well. I appreciate you asking. What's going on?
You know, I hate to be the voice of reason here, but let's everybody come back down to earth for a moment real quick.
But Phil, it's so much fun up here, Phil. Don't make me come down.
You know, clearly we haven't lost the game that we were supposed to win yet. I mean, obviously the toe has not met the leather yet.
Right.
In Gamecock land, when we're coming out with predictions like that. And I will go ahead and say that Alex Mcgrath probably has forgotten more about American football than I know. But what I do know is that we rarely, you know, have winning seasons historically at Carolina. And I think we've been to, 24 bowl games. Bear Bryant went to 29 in his coaching career. So let's focus on beating Kentucky year in and year out before we start talking about winning the SEC East. I appreciate the enthusiasm, but I just don't understand it. And some people may make the claim that making bold predictions like that and people just saying that, oh, yeah, we're going to win the East or we're going to win 10 games this year, it actually hurts the program because more people start hearing that and more people get more excited that don't know how to use their own brains. And when things like that happen, the expectation for coaching staffs and players get out of control. And if you lose to a team, God forbid, like Georgia State, people are going to be real pissed off because they heard that we're going to win the SEC East. Or we win to Charlotte, we lose to Charlotte or something crazy like that, or just, lose games that we're expected to lose. Like we've never beaten Texas A&M, not once, not a single time. And then we're talking about winning the SEC East. Like, let's beat teams that we've never beaten before first, before we, make these grandiose statements that aren't in reality with where the program is right now. I think we win 7 games. I hope that's where I hope, my expectations every year for Carolina football with where we are right now is let's have a winning season. Let's go to a bowl game. Wouldn't that be fun? Because that doesn't really happen that often historically. That's where I am in my expectations for this football program. And I think they're realistic. And I think that they're healthy as well for the program, because if you start throwing things around like we're going to win the SEC East, like I said, and those expectations aren't based in reality, then, things start going downhill. Unfortunately. So that's just my perspective on it. And, I hope for the best. I'm looking at all kind of Carolina stuff all around my office. I have to look at 2 Carolina tattoos every day that are on my body. There's nobody more garnet and black than I am, but I just like to live in reality, man. Like, it's just, I want this program to build up and be better and better each year and stuff like that. But, I don't expect us to win 9 or 10 games ever.
Right.
And if it happens, that is awesome. But if it doesn't, then hey, that's just maybe next year, right? That's my perspective on that.
Phil, I just wanted to let you know there is a tomato emoji for you from Brian Lattimore in the YouTube chat. No, listen,
right.
No, listen. I you sound like me, to be honest with you. I get where you're coming from, and I think it's important to keep realistic expectations. Dream big, right? Dream big, let your dreams run wild, but also understand where you are and don't put the cart before the horse per se, and keep the expectations realistic. I will say I want to go on record and say that I don't think that Alex Mcgrath obviously doesn't have any intentions of hurting the program by saying what he said. I think obviously Alex Mcgrath wants to do nothing but help the program he obviously played for and bleeds the garnet and black. And so I don't think I understand where you are coming from, though, in regards to what it does. The point you're making is, and I'll just say this: when you get to a position that we're at, just for example, with TSUS, it would be irresponsible of me to go on record and to, go pick this team to go 11-1, right? It would be irresponsible because I would be setting unfair expectations for Carolina football this season. So I get where you're coming from and what you are saying, right? Because that's a real thing. That's a real thing, because if you have improper expectations, you won't know success when it hits you in the face, right?
Amen.
If your expectations are way through the roof, they're over the top, even when you have small victories that you should be happy about, they won't seem significant to you because you've unfairly set your expectations to such a level, right? And certainly, it would be just ludicrous to set expectations for a season that, we go 8-4 and people are somehow upset at that. That would just be the most twisted thing ever, right? So like I've told you, Phil, and like I've said on record before, I think what you do this season, you expect 7 in regards to wins. You expect 7, you hope for 8, and if you win 9 or more, you're gravy. You know what I mean? Like, you're just, hey, we're on cloud 9, right? But setting realistic expectations is a real thing. Obviously, I know you do that, and a lot of great points. I think you got a lot of great points for sure. So
appreciate it. And I just want to say one final thing here. For the people that are realistic in their expectations for this program and that understand the history of Carolina football, that sort of stuff, that doesn't make us worse fans or less, than fans that are more positive. Some might say delusional and stuff like that. We're all in this together. But, yeah, I hope for the best, but expect the worst. And go Gamecocks. Looking forward to the game.
Phil, appreciate you, my man. Thank you so much. And listen, with that being said, we all want the same thing, right? We all want the same thing. And that is to go 15-0 and to go to the SEC championship and to win every single game. So Phil, obviously saying that he is not like a doom and gloom Gamecock fan, I would say. But again, Phil just likes to keep things realistic. And that's what I respect about Phil. I respect that greatly about Phil, that he's going to keep things realistic. He's going to keep it a buck, and he's not going to go over the top with things. Let's jump to the phone lines. Robbie, what's up, man? How are you?
Nothing much. How are you doing on this Tuesday?
I'm doing well, my guy. Hey, just to give you a heads up, we are tuning into Shane Beamer's presser at 1:30. It is 1:16 currently. I just wanted to give you a heads up on the time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You're good.
I'm
Not rushing you, just letting you know.
It's all good. It's all good. First things first, if we go 11-1 or go undefeated, you're going to get a tattoo on your butt, and I'm going to get a shaved head, okay? Just to clarify, all right? Because my stepdad has already told me he's got the Clippers. So if we go 11-1 or, for God forbid, go undefeated, I'm going to get a shaved head, and you're going to have a tattoo on your butt.
Yeah. That's indeed a fact. That's what we've promised. That's indeed a fact, yes.
But I think 7-5 is very doable. Like I said before, that's I think that was my prediction I gave you whenever I gave you my game-by-game prediction, right? 7-5.
Yes.
Oh no,
yeah.
I gave you 8-4.
8-4, yeah, because you had us beating Arkansas, yes.
Yeah, I got us going 8-4. So in the regular season and winning our bowl game. I really honestly, after last night, watching the simulation, I hope we play Maryland and kick their ass, to be honest with you. But we haven't really had a team where we could the last several years where we can say we have a chance at winning the SEC East. The last time we had that type of team was 12 years ago. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it might take a minute, like you said before. You and me both feel like Beamer is in this for the long haul. Okay? He is slowly building a culture, not a climate. Once again, he's not building no climate bull crap. He's building a culture, and that culture is going to hit people in the face hard, especially Stoopsy. Good old Stoopsy, that culture is going to hit you right in the face.
The lesser of the two Stoops. I don't know if you heard.
The lesser of the Stoops.
Yeah.
If
you heard.
Your ass whooping is coming. All right. Your little tirade on Beamer. All right. your ass whooping is coming on the 1st of October. Oh no, the 8th of October. Yeah, the 8th of October. Your ass whooping is coming. Hey, you know the saying, Chris. Karma's a bitch. Okay.
That it is, my guy. That
karma
it is.
Karma can be a bitch. And I just feel like, and I do agree with that in every game this season, especially in specific games like the Clemson game and, of course, the Georgia State game, the Charlotte game, and the South Carolina State game, along with several others, including that team that I'm not going to mention because they live in the upstate. We have the better quarterback than a majority of the teams that we are going to play this season, and I do believe it will show.
And you're confident with that 8-4, correct?
Right.
Good deal.
Yes.
I'm confident in mine as well.
And I just think we'll take care of business when we need to take care of business, and do what we need to do this year to get to a bowl game.
Mhm.
You got to crawl before you can walk, and you got to walk before you can run. That is a fact.
And my man, you
And I
spit
believe
nothing
Beamer-
but facts, my guy. Nothing but facts.
Well, thank you. And I just feel like we're gonna take care of business, and Beamer's gonna do what he did last year. Shut up the naysayers and prove once again that you can win and recruit at a high level at the University of South Carolina. He's already proven it so far, and he's going to prove it again this year. And shut up even more naysayers. Go Gamecocks. To hell with Clemson. DJ, you suck. All right? I'm sorry. I hate being mean, but you do suck. All right? DJ, I'm going to suck. I don't care what Sweeney says. You suck. The only reason y'all went 10-3 is because of y'all's defense. That is a fact. All right, you have a great rest of your day. I'm going to go ahead and get off of here. Got about 9 minutes until the presser, so I'm going to go ahead and get off of here.
Robbie, I appreciate you, my guy. Thanks so much for the call. Great stuff from our friend Robbie Davis. We also had a call coming in, I think, simultaneously when Robbie called in. So if you'd like to call back in, we'd love to hear from you. 843-790-3377. Guys, I want to say thank y'all so much, man, for the love and support. It's been absolutely incredible this week. The numbers, again, I obviously see the viewership, the numbers on my end. It's just been a blessing, dude. It's been awesome. It's been awesome to see. Obviously, you expect the numbers to start going up as we get closer and closer and closer to kickoff, and it just makes me so excited because I just to think what it's going to look like, what this is going to look like as TDC continues to evolve and grow, and I mean, it's just such a blessing, man. It's such a blessing. Guys, in case you forgot, tonight we are at Carolina Ale House in Harbison in Columbia, South Carolina. All gets going. Would love to see you guys out there. 6 o'clock we'll be out. Dave, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing well. I know you're close to Beamer's press conference.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing fine. I placed a wager on when I caught the bookie at 5.5 wins. So I took the over on it. But I'm kind of hesitant to make any type of prediction because I think we can get to 6. But what a lot of people aren't really thinking about is there can be a hell of a lot of improvement, and we still end up with a 6-6 record. But it all boils down to those 4. I think it's 4 seniors and a junior. What they do on the line. But hope you have a good rest of your day, and see you Saturday.
Looking forward to it, Dave. Well said. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate it. And yeah, again, to Dave's point, listen, whether you think we're going to win 6 games, 7 games, 8 games, you think we're going to win the SEC East, whatever. Your prediction's your prediction. All good. We finally get to see the ball, see it. The questions get answered starting this Saturday. I've said it once and I'll say it again. How you win is more important, in my opinion, than how many you win this season. Because you can go 8-4, but if you get blown out in your 4 losses versus a 7-5, but your 5 losses were all competitive, or let's say 7-5 versus even a 6-6. Guys, I'd rather go 6-6 and be competitive in those 6 games, be competitive against the Georgias, Clemsons, and A&Ms, than I would go 7-5, but not even be remotely competitive, just not even look like you belong on the field in those 5 games. How you win is what it's all about in year 2 of Shane Beamer. Beating the non-conference, Georgia State, Charlotte, SC State the way you should. Beating a team like a Vandy the way you should. Even beating a Mizzou like you should. And then against the Floridas, the Tennessees, the A&Ms, the Georgias, the Clemsons, playing them tough, competitive, down to the wire. You look at Steve Spurrier in his first couple of years. 10 games. Oh, Muschamp Packers. Beautiful. Were we winning 8, 9, 10 games a season? No. in Spurrier. God almighty. Muschamp Packers get my mind all frazzled. My point is this. Were we winning 8, 9, 10 games a year in Spurrier's first 4 or 5 seasons? No, but you look back, guys, we didn't get blown out a lot. It happened. Don't get me wrong. But we were competitive in a lot of games against a lot of elite competition. And again, this is not a 2 or 3 year project that Shane Beamer's building. This is a program he's building for the long haul, right? So, for example, you take a Nicholas Harbor. It's not just about beating Georgia. That's his official visit. It's about playing them tough into the fourth quarter, right? Playing them tough, okay? And showing a guy like that and showing recruits on the trail, hey, we're building something here. We're building something special. And you can come be a part of it. We're just a couple pieces away. That's what they did under Steve Spurrier, right? They got to bowl games. They won bowl games. They were competitive against the top teams every now and then. We were winning games we, quote unquote, weren't supposed to win. And eventually that led to guys like Stephon Gilmore, Marcus Lattimore, Alshon Jeffrey, Melvin Ingram, Steven Garcia, Travian Robertson, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Jadeveon Clowney, those guys picking South Carolina because they saw not South Carolina for what it was, but what it was on the way to be. That is what Shane Beamer's doing and what he's building. So, guys, don't get so caught up. Hey, we won 7 versus 8. That means this versus this. It's all about how we win. It's all about how we win, how we compete. Are we competitive against the Georgias, A&Ms, and Clemsons, right? That's what it comes down to for me because, again, it's not about trying to win the SEC in year 2. Where are we going to be in year 5? Where are we going to be in year 7? Where are we going to be in year 10? Shane Beamer's building this thing for the long haul. So, again, how you win and lose, that's what this season for me comes down to. Because, again, guys, I've picked 8-4, but I want to see this team win with some flash. I want to see this team win with some pizzazz. I want to see this team, last year, what was so discouraging, the bowl game was great. It made us forget a lot of the negatives of last season. But after Clemson, guys, before UNC happened, I think we'd all agree. We looked at last season, the 6-6, and said, well, yeah, I mean, you got to a bowl game, but like the way you did it was excruciating. Last second field goal to beat ECU. Beat Troy by 9 points, right? Got destroyed against Georgia, A&M, and Clemson. Like, it wasn't, Florida and Auburn were great games. Then you lose a baffling game to Mizzou, right? You feel like you lose a game to Kentucky you should have had. You had to resort to Zeb Nolan off the bench to beat Vandy by a single point. It was ugly. You won ugly a lot. So improving the way you win, that's what I want to see this year, man. I don't want to see any last-second BS with Vanderbilt or, taking – it starts Saturday. It starts Saturday. Set the tone for the season, I'm not sitting here saying, well, if Carolina only wins by a touchdown, the season's doomed. But I think it's important to set the tone, man. Set the tone. You are the better football team. You have the better players. There's no debating it. Go out, execute, show that, and go beat Georgia State the way that you're capable of and the way you should. Set the tone for the season. All right, guys, Shane Beamer is about to speak. Let's go ahead and get the screen shared here. Here we go. Let's see. Here we go. All righty. Beamer. Boom. I'm going to go ahead and put this up here, guys. I'm going to turn the phone lines off as well. Again, we are tuning in to Shane Beamer's weekly presser. You don't need to go anywhere. It's going to be right here. The first game week presser from Coach Beamer. Here we go. I'll stay over here in the corner for just a second. Anyways, guys, setting the tone is about how you win. I understand. Don't throw in the towel on the season if you don't cover the 12. But, man, if you want to have a big year, you'd love to set the tone and start this thing off on the right foot on Saturday. Bottom line. All right, I'm going to go ahead, get myself off the screen. Guys, I'll be tweeting today, through this, so if you want to follow along that way. Let's go ahead and get into it.
All right, thanks, everybody, for coming out. Awesome to finally be in game week. It's been a long month of practicing against each other, so super excited, obviously, to now get the chance to compete again. You can think of pregame warm-ups, halftime organization, all the different scenarios that come up during the game, into games, things like that as well. Trying to be as prepared as possible for this upcoming Saturday. Thought that went really well. Our players and staff had Saturday off, and then right back in here on Sunday to get going on our normal game week as well. So had a really good practice this morning. We're off to a great start. Injury-wise, really everybody should be good, to be honest with you. Kai Kroger practiced today. Christian Beal-Smith did a little bit in practice today. Fully expect those guys to be available this Saturday night. The only guy that would be a little bit more of a question mark right now would be Corey Rucker. He's probably got a ways to go to be ready to go on Saturday, but we'll see what happens here over the next few days as well. But other than that, we're, knock on wood, in a really good position. Injury-wise, credit Luke Day and Chip Morton in the weight room and Clint Haggard in our training room for the way that they've handled preseason, the way that our players have handled preseason. It's been really, really physical. It's been a grind. I think those two departments, along with myself, we meet regularly just to kind of map out practice and where we are as a football team, and they've done a good job just trying to limit some of the soft tissue injuries and things like that you normally deal with this time of year. No, we released a depth chart, yesterday. We looked at it. I can assure you I didn't spend 3 hours poring over it before we released it to you guys. I hate to disappoint you on that. All I would urge you is please be flexible. The way it's listed right now, it may not exactly be that way on the first play Saturday night or the first defense on Saturday night, depending on the personnel grouping that's in the game. So a guy may have an or next to his name. That's not me trying to be a pain in the butt and be difficult. That is legitimately, depending on the personnel grouping, one of those two receivers may be out there in the game. Or somebody that's not listed as a starter may be out there on the first play of the game, defensively or offensively. And then there may be guys that aren't on that depth chart that show up and play quite a bit, or guys that are on the depth chart and maybe don't play as much. So it's not me trying to deceive anyone. It's just we've got a lot of flexibility and a lot of depth at a lot of different positions. But for the most part, that's where we are as a team. Certainly excited to kick things off on Saturday night. Going to be a great environment, as we know. Want to congratulate Tommy Suggs going into his 50th year in the radio booth for us. That's remarkable, but what an awesome accomplishment by him. And he's was a great friend of mine before I came back here when I was here as an assistant coach. He's a great friend and a neighbor now here in Columbia, and certainly appreciate his support, and awesome having him and Todd Ellis heading up our radio crew again this year as well. And it's going to be great to have Jadavion back this weekend as well. A guy that was the number one player in the country. Me and Tommy were actually talking about this last week. Very rarely do you have a guy that's the number one player in the country and then goes to a college and then ends up being the number one draft pick as well after his college career also. You got a lot of guys that are number one player. I don't know how many of them ended up being the number one draft pick, but certainly excited to have him back and was around obviously during his recruitment, and it'll be a great environment, and we'll have great opportunity for him, and excited for him getting honored, and will be fantastic for so many of these recruits that'll be here on Saturday night to see him, a guy that was in their shoes and got to where they want to be. Also as well, nothing like a Saturday night in Williams-Brice Stadium, and expect Saturday night to be no different, starting with our Gamecock Walk. When our players arrive here, to come into the stadium, expect that to be electric and rocking as well. I know our players certainly appreciate that. I know I do, and our coaches do as well. It's something special and very unique. I've been a lot of places, and they have walks, but they don't have a walk like we have. And it's going to be awesome to be out there. It's going to be awesome to see the cockpit again down there in the end zone in the student section, our band, our cheerleaders, our fans, everything that makes Williams-Brice special as well, and need them to understand that they have a role on Saturday night as well. Our team is excited, just like our fans and everyone else are, but we have to go perform on Saturday night. So don't come out here on Saturday night just happy to tailgate and be in the stadium again. We need you guys to make an impact because this is a really, really good football team that we're about to play on Saturday night. No disrespect to Eastern Illinois, who we opened up with last year, but this ain't Eastern Illinois. And we made that very clear with our players this morning. This is a team that 17 of their 22 starters are juniors or seniors, so they've played a lot of football together. They beat Tennessee not that long ago. They had a heck of an opportunity to beat Auburn last year at Auburn. If Auburn doesn't convert a 4th and 9, I think, with under a minute left in the game, Auburn loses to Georgia State. You know, Auburn blocked a punt for a touchdown in that game. Otherwise, it's not even a ball game at the end as well. So it's a very confident team that has gone on the road in the SEC and performed very well and had an opportunity, did win one game and had very much of an opportunity to win a second game against an SEC team on the road. We've made a big point of emphasis about running the ball and stopping the run, but we'll find out how much progress we've made Saturday night. These guys were 8th in the country last year in running the football. So obviously you're going to see your service academies up there year in, year out, because that's what they do. And then after the service academies, you got to be really good at running the football to be up there, and they were 8th in the country last year. Defensively, they're disruptive. They set school records last year for sacks, tackles for loss, and turnovers forced, if I'm not mistaken. So a very disruptive defense, a very good offense that can run the football, as they've shown, that certainly will not be intimidated coming in here. And it's you got a lot of ties, actually. Obviously, 20 players on their team from South Carolina, including the starting quarterback. So we know what this game means to them, and certainly our guys are going to be extremely excited to go play. But we have to go play well. And again, they've been in some stadiums in the SEC. Georgia State has. Auburn was an afternoon game. Tennessee was an afternoon game. We need the experience in Williams-Brice Stadium under the lights at night. It's our first time in an SEC stadium at night, and we need this thing to be absolutely rocking Saturday night, Gamecock Nation. So counting on you from that standpoint. And any questions you guys have, I'll be glad to answer. I don't even have to ask it. I know it's Colton the Dave right over here. So
Shane,
I'm just going to start saying, Dave, you got it. What do you got, my man?
Shane, a couple for you. Standing up here a year from your first game after that, do you feel, any more nervous, anxious, that kind of thing? And the second is uniforms. I understand you make the call on that. Just what's your thought process on them?
Did the players tell you that, or they've been in my ears since for a while. One of them, I won't name who. We were talking uniforms this morning. He actually wanted to know what accessories we're wearing with the uniforms as well. So I'm like, oh my God. You think in 1970 those guys were worried about the accessories they wore with their uniforms, but it's a different time. Uniform-wise, I decide. I talk to certain guys on the team. Like I said last year, David, I want us to be worried about how we play and how we prepare to play, and not worried about what we're wearing each week. So we're thankful for the awesome relationship that we have with Under Armour. We're thankful that we have multiple uniform combinations, but we're not going to be wearing something different every single week. Now, does that mean that we won't mix it up from time to time? Sure, we will. Garnet and black are our colors, and we certainly can mix that in there as well. But trust me, I hear from plenty of people on our uniforms and all that. And I want it to be about what we wear or how we play for sure, but also, want these guys to have some input as well. So we'll see. And then game one this year, like game one last year, no less nervous. You're always going to be, to me, I love game ones, but game ones stink in a lot of ways too. Just the preparation, because there is so much unknown. And, not that game twos are easier than game ones, but game ones, because it is so new, there's so many unknowns because you've been practicing against yourself for so long. Guys, it's the first time they went out it'll be the first time they go out in an environment like that. We're playing a lot of new players, freshmen, transfers as well. So just the unknown. So no, I feel like I got a better handle on things because it's my second time through, David. But as far as the nerves or any of that, no, it's still sky high.
Shane, you mentioned even last week trying to get recruits out here. As you sit here with prospects finally able to come back on Saturday, what goes into making a quality experience and trip for a guy that's maybe coming in for just Friday night and Saturday and dipping after the game?
Yeah, you don't have somebody that would be here for an official visit or really anybody that's here. So many, if they are coming in on Friday, just the opportunity to get around our players and coaches and staff as well as much as possible. It gives them extra time to do that, to feel what Columbia, South Carolina is like on a Friday night or a home football weekend. Certainly with it being a night game, we'll have some people that'll be here Saturday and they get a chance on Saturday during the day. This is a unbelievable college town. And to be able to get out and experience what a college town is like on a Saturday leading into a Saturday night in Columbia is pretty special and a great opportunity. And then, once they get to the game, it's about relationships, but certainly recruits see and watch that Gamecock Walk when we arrive. So the bigger and more electric and loud and wild and crazy that is, the more of an impact that makes on these guys. And I'm serious in saying that. I've coached other schools where we had a walk, and I was in a different conference, and we talked very recently, and we talked about the walk that we had pregame, and did we want recruits to watch it? And I'd been in the SEC, and I remember telling the head coach, I'm like, look, this guy we got coming in on this visit, he was at an SEC school last week. Like, our walk is cool and all, but it ain't that. And it's the same thing here. So it's a different walk pregame environment, and then just the electricity in the stadium, the way all 80,000+ people, feel like they're playing the game for you, and truly, truly an asset and a home field advantage. And then just hopefully playing well and winning obviously helps the experience with the prospects and their families that are here. But like always, Colin, just being able to allow them to see what we're about, as a program and as people as well on game day. And we spent a lot of time with them when the coaches get to the stadium on Saturday. The players are getting dressed and all that, but we as coaches, the first hour until we go out for pregame, that's spent doing nothing but just visiting with recruits. So I've got a little locker room office there at the stadium, so all I do is just sit in there and just recruits come in and out and visit with them and talk, and then I get to see them out there for pregame and after the game and all that as well. So a lot goes into it, and just be ourselves.
Coach, what do you remember about going through the 2010 season with Coach Elliott, how special that season was, and what is your current relationship like with Sean Elliott as he comes back to Columbia this weekend?
2010 was special, to be to have so many great players that were on that group, and then to go play, for an SEC championship, and so many great moments during that season, beating Alabama out here, and then going down to Gainesville and winning down there in the swamp on a Saturday night to clinch the SEC East, and beating, who was it? Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, then going up to, I guess that was at Clemson that year, right? Even number. Yeah, so playing at Clemson up there on a Saturday night, and I think Antonio Allen intercepted a pass that night and ran it back for a touchdown. Is that right? All right. As well, so I knew you'd remember. So a lot of great memories, from that season as well. And Sean's a heck of a football coach. Knew that then, and was a good friend. We vacationed together during that time. I can remember taking one or two trips to the beach, with he and his family. Our kids are about the same age, and he's done a great job, at Georgia State, and relationship is still good. As many of you know, he's still, here in Columbia. So my wife and I, we go walking all the time around Columbia, and we go walking in his neighborhood plenty, and see his wife, Summer, who's awesome, out walking some, and certainly am a fan of what he's done at Georgia State and pull for them, except this Saturday.
when you kind of pop the tape on Georgia State and start doing your initial kind of breakdown of Saturday, what jumps out at you about them? I know you mentioned their experience, but from a football sense, what kind of sticks out on first glance?
They play really, really hard. For one, I mean, you watch them on defense. I mean, golly, I mean, they fly around and play really, really hard. For sure, they're disruptive. They're physical. Talking about all those stats, all the tackles for loss, the turnovers forced, the sacks, you don't do that unless you're really active and disruptive. So they're not staying in one place. I mean, it'll be a challenge for our guys because these guys on defense for Georgia State, I mean, they're moving and they play good defense. I mean, Louisiana, I guess, won the Sun Belt last year, and they had them shut out. I was watching it yesterday. I mean, shut out for the first half. Louisiana didn't score against them, and all these guys are back. And then offensively, obviously, the quarterback has got size and can run. And, he can throw the football. And they got receivers with some size that can make some plays. And got a veteran offensive line. The center's a heck of a player. Running backs are really, really good. Obviously, one of them was here previously as a defensive back. And just a veteran group, I mean, that plays really, really hard and plays with confidence. And a group that – start 17 to 22 starters or juniors and seniors, they look like it. They know what they're doing.
Coach, going back to Coach Elliott, you obviously know each other and how you coach pretty well. Are there tendencies of his that you know that you're able to prepare for? And on the flip side, are there tendencies of yours that you know he'll be preparing for that you're trying to hide?
I don't think I've been a head coach long enough for me to have any. Maybe I do. I'll ask him after the game. I don't think there's so much tendencies with he and I. I think it's more just when you're playing his team, they're going to be really, really tough and physical, and they're going to play hard. And we're going to have to go play well to win the football game. This will not be easy by any stretch of the imagination. And, I think it's more you get into tendency-wise, it might be, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, those type of tendencies that you're looking at as far as schemes. But, certainly as you're watching the game and you see some of the things that they do during games, I mean, they're going to be very, very aggressive. I mean, they faked a punt last year against North Carolina from like 4th and 15 on their own 10-yard line, and that's aggressive. So we've got to be prepared for a lot of different things, and certainly they're coming in here fully expecting to win, and that's their mentality, and it should be. And, Sean and I aren't going to decide this game. It'll be the, players on the field. They got a bunch of really good ones, and so do we.
Shane, I think at this time last year, Luke was hurt. Zeb was like 2 weeks back into playing college football. Obviously, it's a little bit of a different quarterback situation this year. I guess just how do you feel about where Spencer's at right now, walking into game one, and what he can bring, and what do you kind of expect from him? And then I guess less importantly, or maybe more importantly, how much input did you get on the mascot this is renaming?
Spencer, certainly different from last year for sure. Last year at this time, you're right, we're getting ready to start a graduate assistant, and we're worried about that. And then his backup is a guy that had just transferred from St. Francis, and his backup was a true freshman out of high school. So that was a little bit more concerning. Not that it's not this year, but like I've said before, you've got older, more experienced guys in that room right now, but it's still – yes, Spencer's played in a lot of big games, but it's going to be his first time here. It's going to be his first time in a game running this offense. It's going to be his first time in that stadium. So there's a lot of unknowns with him. So I think the biggest thing with him and any of our guys is just go out there and just, I know it's cliche, but just do your job, be yourself. You don't have to be Superman out there. And just go, make plays and execute. And, he's a older guy. I know he's excited. We've had some good conversations here this week, and I'm excited to go watch him and all these guys play. As far as the mascot, zero. No one asked me my opinion at all. I got a lot more. I don't want to say a lot more to worry about, but I'm trying to get a football team ready to play on Saturday, not chiming in on names for sure.
Shane, I wanted to ask about Spencer, too. He seems like when we see him, he's a very poised, easygoing young man. It seems unusual for 20-somethings there. Is he that way around the building? Is he that way on the field? Is he just kind of is that just who he is?
That's who he is. It is, and we want him to be himself, but there's also, you got to understand, as the quarterback, you are the leader, of the offense in so many ways, and we got some fantastic leaders on that offense. I mean, Javon Gwynn was a captain last year, and other guys, and we don't need Spencer to do it all, but he's in a leadership position for sure, and I've seen his how vocal he is grow. He's not afraid to get on guys out there when he needs to. I think he does a great job of just communicating with the receivers and the tight ends and the running backs and the passing game about, what he wants and what he saw and things like that. There's been some good communication. So I like his mentality. It's who he is. But don't let that mistake you for not being a fiery competitor and vocal when he needs to be.
Hey, Shane.
Oh, sorry, Rick.
Could you elaborate a little bit more on what makes the Gamecock Walk so unique, and how amped up were you after your first Gamecock Walk last year as head coach? And also, Georgia State, you say they played tough and hard. How much of that is a reflection of Sean's personality?
Yeah. Gamecock Walk, I mean, it's, to me, what makes it special is you've got all these fans that are out there. I mean, the hotel we stay in the night before game days or before games, we come down Interstate 77 and you cross the river and you see the stadium off in the distance, and then we get off right there on Bluff Road and hang a left and drive down Bluff, and you start, as soon as you pass the gas stations down there, and you start seeing people tailgating on the side of the street, and just that ride down Bluff Road is really, really, really cool, because you have, people cheering for you that aren't at the walk, which that's a different story. They should be, but they're tailgating as well and waving and cheering you on as you go through there. And then when you get, to the stoplight right there, and you hang a left on, National Guard Road, hang a left, and then pull right in there and park, just seeing the sea of people. And it's cool for our players as well, because, Bluff Road's blocked off at that point. You see the fans out in the street as you come down Bluff Road. It's a great moment for me, and I know our players, just hearing them on the bus, the excitement and seeing people. And then you get off that bus, and then it's constant loud noise for the next 10, 15 minutes or whatever. It's not like, you walk in this part and it's pretty quiet, and then all of a sudden the noise goes back up and then it dies down. I mean, it's loud and you can't hear yourself think the entire time. And it's awesome. And it's a testament to what our fan base is about and what they're like. And that's, to me, what makes it special, is just the sheer noise, the sheer excitement, and the gratitude that you see from people that are along the side there, thanking you and talking to you and wishing you luck and whatnot. But then also the gratitude that I feel, and I know our players feel, for the people that take time out of their day to come out or take time out of their tailgating and their game day to come greet the team. So it's awesome. It's great for recruiting, but it's something that will never, ever, ever get old. And then as far as how hard Georgia State plays, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's to me, teams take on the personality of their head coach, and I would say that, I would hope people see us and talk about how hard we play and the effort we play with and the competitive spirit and the physicality and the toughness. But you certainly see that, with them also. I mean, you guys that have been here for a while, I mean, their game days when Sean was here, I mean, I used to think we'd have to get him an IV after some pregame warm-ups, just pregame warm-up. He's out there sweating and bleeding and drenched in sweat. We haven't even kicked off. And that was as the O-line coach. So now as the head coach, the team kind of takes on that personality as well, and he's done a really good job there, and it's a testament to him.
Shane, what are the areas of progress that you would like to see most, that you want to see most come to fruition on Saturday night?
From last year to this year, or just like preseason camp? Okay, like where from now until then, where we need to really improve. I think you're never completely at ease with like timing and everything in the passing game, and we've got a lot of new faces that we're throwing to, and a new face throwing to them. So you talk about, Xavier Legette and Jaheim and Trayvon Kenyon and what to carry on, and Josh Van and Jalen Brooks. I mean, those guys are returning, but then you got guys like Juice Wells, and you got guys like Austin Stogner, and you got guys like Lavoisier Carroll and Christian Beal Smith that are new and whoever else, Corey Rucker, that you just – it's a lot of new faces and just the timing of everything, getting used to each other. Certainly you want that to continue to, to come along. And then you guys saw the two deep. I mean, there's a lot of true freshmen that are listed in that two deep, and continuing to get them to where they improve and you feel more and more, not that we don't, but you feel more and more confident about them going out there in a critical situation Saturday night. The more we can put those guys in those situations and prepare them, and they prepare themselves mentally to go play on Saturday night the way they need to play.
You're talking about the player asking about accessories. Was he trying to wear a neck roll or a cowboy collar or something like that? Or
I think he was talking socks and wristbands and all that. I'm like, are you serious, man? Like accessories? No neck rolls. This was a wide receiver, so there were certainly no neck rolls with those guys.
I figured that, or a DB one.
Yeah, exactly.
Jordan Strawn's obviously a bigger game for him. What are you expecting out of him on Saturday, and of course throughout the next 11 games after that?
Yeah, Jordan's been awesome. Since he came back this season, I mean, he's really stepped up with his leadership off the field, his play on the field, the way he's practiced, the way that he's worked, the way that he's gotten better on special teams. He's been awesome, since January. And I know it's a, cool moment for him coming back or coming and getting to play his former team. I know it's cool for Jemias getting ready to, come back. I mean, he's been there I remember recruiting him when we were at Georgia in 2016 as well. So you got two former players on different teams coming back and playing their former teammates. But, as far as Jordan specifically, I would expect him to continue to do what he's done all year, and that's play really, really well and be a great leader for us as well, and don't make it bigger than it is either. At the end of the day, it's about executing and doing your job, and confident that he'll do that.
And I want to ask about Jam as well, and just what you remember about him from those days. He was class of 17, like Strawn.
Yeah, I remember being at Georgia, and he was right down the road at Grayson High School, and how much we liked him at Georgia. And Kirby liked him and the way that he played, and you see that. I mean, the guy's just a really good football player. The fact that he has got ability as a returner, he's now playing running back. He was a defensive back, so he's just one of those guys. He's just a really, really good football player, and watching him run the football, I mean, it's impressive. He's got a feel for it back there. He's got a knack. He's got great patience. He's got great vision, and has had some really quality runs against some big-time opponents, along with the other running back, they have back there as well, who's a really good player.
Coach, you brought it up earlier, Jadeveon coming back. What does that mean to have him back, and then what does it mean to have a guy like Spencer continuing the tradition of number 7?
Yeah, have Jadeveon back is awesome. Anytime we get our former players back, I love it. And, we got former players on this staff. We constantly have former players that are coming back to visit and watch practice. It's their program. I'm just the head coach of it. And to have a guy of Jadeveon's magnitude to be back, I mean, just what that signing meant. And he took, I think we didn't have a December signing period back then, so you had the February signing period, and then it was a week later or 2 weeks later or whatever. So it was a long time of waiting for him, to sign. But to sign a player of that magnitude, and it goes back to what we tell recruits now. I mean, when we were winning at a really, really high level here, we were doing it by keeping the best players in South Carolina at home. We've done that this year with the guys that are committed, to us right now, and need to continue, to win our share of those battles as well. But Jadeveon was a great statement when he came and followed Marcus Lattimore and Alshon Jeffrey and Stephon Gilmore and guys from the previous years also as well. So it'll be great to see him. And, last time I saw him, I think I was out in Houston watching a Houston Texans practice. And so I'm excited to see him back here for sure. And then Spencer as well. I really hadn't thought about the whole number 7 connection with Spencer and him both. But, it's great to see Spencer wearing any jersey here at South Carolina. I guess it's even better that he's wearing 7.
Take 2 more. Colin, then Mike.
Shane, I know priority number 1 is to win the game, and just get out of here without injuries. But when you look at what a successful night looks like for you guys on both offensive and defensive side, what do you want to see from both of those units to make you feel comfortable going into week 2?
Just efficiency for sure. And we've talked about it with our team, and I sound like a broken record, but it's game 1. It's the first time you've been through this stuff. So just clean from a personnel, substitutions, communication, defensively tackling really well. And let's just look like a well-coached football team. And Georgia State's going to make plays. How do we handle adversity? It's not all going to be great out there on Saturday night. There's going to be some adversity that we have to deal with throughout the game. How do we deal with it? And seeing how we respond to that from that standpoint, will be key. But that's the biggest thing, Colin, is just defensively clean with our substitutions. We're going to play a lot of players. Be good tacklers, and offensively, same thing. We're going to play a lot of players, clean with our substitutions, and basically don't beat ourselves, with just dumb stuff. I think in the Eastern Illinois game last year, one time we came out of a timeout, and I think we had 10 guys on the field. Don't do dumb stuff like that. And that starts with me and starts with us as coaches, so just really being good from that standpoint. I got you. I saw your hand up there. I'm coming back to you. Can I override you on that one? He's been trying. All right.
It's a little bit of an out-of-the-box question here for you, but 7:30 p.m. kicks. You're waiting around all day. It's kind of tough for coaches and players, I assume, to sort of shut off the football mind. Are there any genuine moments, though, of calmness on a Saturday before kickoff?
Not really. I wish. I love night games. I'd play at 9 a.m. every Saturday if I could. Just get up and go, because the nerves only increase, throughout the day, just sitting around waiting. And we have a schedule, we have meetings and walkthroughs and things like that at the hotel. And I don't want it to be where we're just, on edge for the entire day. I mean, it needs to be relaxed and focused, and it is. I mean, we prepare the right way to go play, at night as well. But I guess you try and relax as much as you can be. I'll be in the hotel room. You're preparing for the game, and you're thinking about situations and getting thoughts together. But I also enjoy just watching other games during the day, more so just kind of putting myself in that head coach's shoes and the decision making that they made on a certain scenario, and because you can never get enough practice with that. But no, it's a long day for sure. Yes.
I won't read too much into the depth chart, but they're out of positions that didn't have an or on there. A couple were Marshawn Lloyd and Mohamed Kaba. It seemed like those are positions that could have been really up for grabs. What did those two guys do specifically to stand out and be the clear first team guy?
Yeah, and having said that, I mean, you'll see multiple linebackers. You'll see Mo, and you'll see Sherrod, and you'll see Brad, and you'll see Debo for sure. And then at running back, you'll see more than one running back. I think a lot of it is they've done a great job, Marshawn and Mo, of just being consistent and productive. Without a doubt, they've really elevated their games and have gotten better in all facets. And then I would say the other thing too is they've been the other guys at those positions, Sherrod and Christian. They've been banged up and haven't been 100% necessarily at every practice. And those other guys have been. And not that a guy is not starting because he's been hurt, but they have been a little bit banged up here during preseason camp, and just felt like Mo and Marshawn deserve the opportunity to take the first rep. If the personnel on that play suits it. They may not, depending on who's in the game as well. So we'll see. You got it. Thank you, guys. Y'all have a great week.
Okay, guys, that's going to do it. Shane Beamer's presser in the books. It is game week. We're all getting ready for Georgia State, guys. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. We got a lot to do today. Of course, we are at Carolina Ale House in Harbison tonight. Would love to have you guys out there in Columbia, South Carolina. We'll get rolling at 6 o'clock. We will have, towels and koozies on sale. So if you want to come out and get your towels, koozies ahead of game day, please do that. The final stop of the TSUS Tour tonight, guys. Very excited. And again, thank you all so much for those who have come out throughout this, throughout this tour, who will be there tonight and who have made this thing such a massive success. Again, guys, we're past 2:00, so I'm going to go ahead and say peace out. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. Stay tuned to all the content Bleeding Out the Eyeballs, of course, podcast will drop tomorrow as scheduled. Daily Crow all week long as we continue to roll and count down the days until kickoff. Guys, have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday. Appreciate you all tuning in, and we will see you all tonight at Carolina Ale House in Columbia, South Carolina at Harbison. Y'all take care. Appreciate it.